cycling. Bam. We are
Oh,
live.
yeah.
Bam. We're live at 8:07 instead of 8:30. We're early.
What?
But I know, right? This is awesome. So you are Yak Nasty,
I'm
that
excited.
Nilla.
I am Yak Nasty, that Nilla.
And how did you come up with your name, Yak Nasty?
Um, I don't know. I didn't really come up with it. I guess it was just kind of handed down to me and like kind of pieced itself together. Like I think Yak because I used to go by Yak, and then it was just like I did a lot of cocaine back in the day, and I can talk about that, right? We've all
Yeah, yeah,
been
yeah.
there.
I
Yeah.
actually wanted to
So
talk to you about that, like drugs in
yeah,
general, because you're sober now, aren't you?
I
Like,
am. I don't do anything. Occasionally, maybe a puff of cannabis. Occasionally, other than that, 1,000% sober. But I don't even do cannabis all the time. So I like to have that mental clarity, just all the time. So if I'm gonna
yeah,
get
yeah.
spiritual, I'll just meditate, and I don't need anything. But I think that weed is kind of. I think people even can misuse that.
hmm
That's just me. I mean, I've done it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
So I definitely identify as a stoner, but I recently quit smoking pot.
It feels different, huh? You get you do you are your dreams more vivid?
I'm having dreams. Last night I dreamt
Yeah.
about the Purge all night long. I was in a horror like the whole entire night. Basically, the world had gone to shit and everybody was trying to kill me,
Uh-huh.
and that lasted the whole night.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
It was exciting though. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it
Well, it's
was
kind of like a movie. Like, I mean, do you ever like wake up and just be like, man, I should write that down and like script it?
yeah, except for it was really like the Purge. Somebody's already written
Yeah,
that movie.
yeah. You're just dreaming the
Um,
movie, and
it
you were
was
the
it was
star.
pretty it was trippy and stressful.
Yeah.
But I also didn't want to wake up because I was like, what's gonna happen next? This is like
You want to go back
pretty
to sleep once you wake up. You wake up, you go back to sleep. Wake up, go back to sleep.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I back in the day when I used to smoke a lot of weed, actually wouldn't dream at all, and I read some articles that it actually inhibits your
hmm
ability to dream.
Yes, that's why I'm not really a fan of smoking anymore. It's I don't get like I. This is my view on anything is it, most people are serving the plant. You know what I mean? If it's not serving you and you're not getting anything out of it, you're done. Time's over. And for me, I mean, I've been doing drugs since I was like fucking 10, 11, 12,
Oh,
So it's like
that's early.
yeah, just continuous use and it's like I don't even know if my brain like fully had time to develop. So it's like to like quit something like that, it's like you just slingshot and you just get that mental clarity and a fat bag of sobriety and it's just I love it. I don't know. I like being mentally clear, and I make better decisions, and I'm more alert.
How the hell do you get started on drugs at 10 years old?
Um, well, I mean, it's introduced to you, and some of us are, depending on our upbringing, sometimes those drugs can be introduced or given to us for, back then I would say that I was given drugs at a young age, and I just didn't know any different. So therefore,
Yeah.
it just kind of you don't know that it's any different. And then eventually, like I just kept on doing drugs throughout my life. And my last run in was either prison time, and then they presented drug court to me, and I learned a lot in there because I had counselors, and they kind of helped me and walked me through the steps of finding who I was and why I was doing what I was doing, and you know.
Did
So that
you
was
did you
really
work this? Did you do like the 12 steps and all that?
bad. I think that I kind of skipped over that, and I think that eventually I'm gonna do that. But I think that I've been doing that without knowing it. Um, but every once in a while, I'll go to an AA meeting or an NA meeting, and it came to a point to where I'd go to these meetings, and it almost felt like, and I'd hate to say this because it's different for everybody, and it definitely helps, but it almost like put me back in that vibration of like feeling sick, like just being in the room. So like I had to
Yeah.
kind of get out and just kind of find myself and just turn off the world. Like there was like about 2 years, like I was like celibate, like fucking didn't want to talk to anybody. I'm sure all my friends thought I was just a sellout, and like I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't listen to music, nothing. I just wanted to figure myself out because I didn't even know who the fuck I was. I never had time to figure it out.
Yeah, it sounds like you've had a very colorful life.
Yeah, it's good. But it's fun because I would never take back any of it, because that is the piece to our puzzle and pushes us to be who we are now. And I don't think I would change it. There's times where I go back in my mind and I'm like, I wish I had this way and that way. And I'm sure people on the outside probably look at certain individuals and still see good. And, it's 50-50 for everybody. You have 50% dark, 50% light. And for some reason, our brain likes to acknowledge the darkness. I don't know, and the negative. We just tend to remember that and hang on to that a lot more than we do the positive.
So you mentioned that part of the catalyst for you becoming sober was drug court. Were you arrested specifically for drugs, or were you arrested for something else?
I lost a couple days. I don't know where they went, but apparently I was just kind of floating around town. I think I was looking for my vehicle is how I got caught. I was selling at the same time. And then I took Xanax on top of like Oxycontins and 30 milligram Percocet oxycodones. And I kind of mixed. Once you put Xanax in the mix, you're fucked. And you're just a fucking walking zombie. And that's where I lost probably 4 or 5 days. And then I just kind of woke up in a jail cell. But I kind of have bits and pieces that I remember. Like I remember them, getting arrested at one point, and I remember them telling me to quit resisting, slamming me on the ground. I was like a limp dick. I was not fighting that shit. Like the motherfuckers threw me on the ground, rubbed my face on the ground, and they're a little bit rough, And I think that was the only time I've ever broken a tooth. Like the cops broke my tooth from pushing on my skull. So they were pushing on my jaw.
Was this in Olympia? Where was it?
No, this was in Tumwater, actually at Burger King. And
okay.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's okay. I understand, I'm a drug addict and I'm out there trying to get in cars, thinking it's my car, and, you're floating around, but, it is what it is.
What was the worst drug that you ever did?
I would say crystal meth would just be, and crank would be just the dirtiest to me,
yeah.
I never got into heroin, I never got into shooting with needles, I came close, but I think Oxycontin was about right there, and I just kind of stopped at that. But I think meth is just the grimiest, dirtiest shit that I probably did.
Yeah. The only time I've ever had somebody truly fuck me over, it's because they were high on meth, and I didn't know that they had gone to that side, and I trusted them, and they ended up kicking my door in and stealing all of my rent money. That was a hard lesson.
That sucks. Did you know who it was?
Oh yeah. It was a good friend of mine that I had grown up with, and I ran into him at Capitol Mall, and it was pouring down rain, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. And I offered to give him a ride because he was walking, and I said, I just got to stop by my house real quick. And I brought him in, and I had all my tip money in my bedroom at the time. He was like, look at that's cash. And I was like, oh no. I said it took me almost a month to save that money up. It's just for rent. I need to go to the bank. And he asked me a bunch of questions like, oh, you're going to college? And I said, yeah. He was like, well, what time do you go to school? And I was like, oh, I go at this time. And then I came back the next day, and doors kicked in, all my money's gone. And I knew it was him. And I'm like,
Yeah, people don't think on drugs. They just kind of do shit, and they don't care who it is.
Yeah, I have a hard time because there's so many tweakers right now, and we've had our car broken into 6 times in 9 months.
What part do you guys live? I don't even know where you're from or where you live. Are you in Olympia?
I know this is our first time talking. Yeah. I'm from Olympia. I grew up out in Steamboat Island area, but I'm up in Tacoma now. I live right next to the Glass Museum.
Yeah.
And do you want to know my schedule and when I leave?
yeah, please. Let me smoke first.
Yeah, right. You just get back on those drugs.
Yeah, no. I mean, dude, oh my God, being off drugs feels so good. I've been sober for 7 years. I just celebrated on July 4th. Like I said, every 6 months or something or whatever, if I take a small hit of cannabis, I don't consider that. I just don't. I consider it like a spiritual takeoff. But mental clarity is number one, and I think everybody should be on that level.
And I don't, it's funny because I've been a stoner for so long that I was positive it wasn't affecting me in any negative way. And then about a year ago, I started having chest pain. And then about 2 weeks ago, I started coughing up black phlegm. And so that's pretty scary. So I'm like, and then if you try to talk to other people that are, very pro cannabis about it, they're like, oh, you're full of shit. It's definitely not from pot. You must have smoked cigarettes. And I'm like, no, I don't smoke cigarettes. There's only one thing I smoke.
Yeah. So I listened to this guy. I always pronounce his name wrong. It's like Saguru or something. I don't know if you should look him up, but he kind of turned me onto it because there's cannabinoids in the mind, and we can tap into those receptors. We don't need the plant. So, and technically nothing should be smoked anyways. If you're going to do it, it should be ingested. It's just nothing should be entering the lungs. So it's like DMT, like you have it all in your mind and in your body. I love to meditate. So it's like, rather than taking a fucking bong hit, like I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to, breathe in, have you ever heard of prana?
I maybe.
So prana is
Tell me about prana.
Like there's oxygen, and then there's like, let's say fairy dust, it's like the beyond that, you're breathing in love. I guess I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but it's like if you breathe in deep enough, like through your nose, like a lot of people are mouth breathers. Yeah, like just breathe it in and like kind of feel like right, even rub right here, like rub right there. Yeah, now pat your head. No,
I can't do that. I'm like,
don't pat your head, but like seriously, like feel right here, and it's almost, to me, it's weird. It's almost an orgasmic feeling, and I guess this would be your this is right below your heart chakra. So this would be what, the solar plexus, right? Sacral, yeah, solar plexus. So
your diaphragm's down in there too.
Yeah, so it's like feel right here, and you just, it's almost like an orgasmic feeling. So maybe not, but that's what I feel. So, and how I would explain it is, I'm really big into like chi energy and esoteric energy, and I feel like, do you know, like putting a magnet under a desk, and then you put a magnet on top, and then you move the top, and then the bottom one follows?
Yeah.
So that's like what you're doing right here with energy. So if you're able to grab this energy, you can take it and move it anywhere on your body, and that magnet of energy flows. And I guess, how I would see it is you can heal yourself with any, if you just take that energy and just put it anywhere.
I love that. So how did you start transitioning from being strung out on drugs, making terrible choices, to meditation, chakra, finding your chi? Like, how do you, for me, I've been practicing meditation, but I'll tell you, I'm still struggling with it. I was using the Calm app for a while and using guided meditation. I enjoy it. I'm not exactly patient. So
you set a timer?
No, I don't think I've ever tried a timer, to be honest.
Because a timer, I think, really helped me, because otherwise there's no ending to it, and it kind of just leaves you just wondering when to stop.
Did you start with smaller increments and build up to more time then?
So what I did, so I'll be honest, like I was sober and miserable at one point, you know what I mean? And I'm like, gun in one hand, meditation in the other. Like, which one do you choose? I've never done meditation. So it's like, do I blow my brains out, or do I try this meditation that I heard about? That's where I was at. So it's like I had to close my eyes, because what I was seeing in front of me, I didn't want to, I didn't want to see what was in front of me, because it just wasn't doing me any justice. So I looked up this meditation, and it's actually called the Release Meditation by Brendon Burchard. Are you familiar with him?
Okay. No.
Yeah, he's a cool cat. He's a motivational speaker. I've read a lot of his books, and I'm a book reader. And
oh, good.
Yeah.
I should send you a copy of my book.
Yes. Actually, I was looking up one of your books, and I started reading it. But yeah, I like what I saw. It was entertaining. Cool. And so this, but I do want a copy. Brendan, I'll even buy one, because I like to support.
Cool. I love that.
Brendon
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Brendon Burchard, he does this release meditation. It's 20 minutes, and it's just you breathe and you just say, release, release, release. And then eventually you go into your head, and it's 20 minutes. You set an alarm, and you're breathing. And how I see it is, when you comb your hair and you get tangles in it, and you just keep on combing until all those tangles are out. So my problem was, when I was meditating, I'm stuck on one thought for like 10 minutes.
Which was
And it's
what
like,
was the thought?
I mean, it could just be, I mean, it could be something from second grade. It could just be that I don't know, it could just be 20 thoughts. You know what I mean? It could just be, I feel like I have a knot in my brain and it's going to explode. Like, it's just whatever's bugging me. It could just be something that I did or something that I thought or something that I did to someone that, you know, I didn't feel good about, or something that I did to myself that was just disrespectful towards my body. And now I'm acknowledging it. And, you know, so maybe it's a feeling inside of me, but so I'm stuck on it. But and I'm just dwelling on it. And I'm like, fuck, dude, when is this timer going to go off? By the time I'm like thinking so hard and 10 minutes has rolled by, I'm on to second thought. And that first thought, you know, the word release, you're saying release. So it's like release is like this wizard word, release. You're just blowing it away. Just go, get out of here. You know, and it might take, you know, 10, 20 minutes, but let's say you do 20 minutes a day, you know, I'm on, say, like 5 years of meditation, you know, it's like if I do that, even if it's just 10 minutes, but 20 minutes a day, and it slows down time. So you know how we're always so fast paced and we're just
Mm-hmm.
want to get shit done. So when you can slow yourself down, you actually get more done because you're more conscious and you kind of see like a God's eye view. It's like you're up here and everybody's kind of down here, just like running around like a bunch of ants. And you just get that little, just a little bit higher so you can just kind of peek, you know, throughout the curtain. That's how I view it. And release meditation, like I've been doing it lately because I've just been kind of feeling funny again. And I'm an empath. So when I go out, like, let's say shopping, like the world's in a frantic, like people are frantic right now. Like,
Oh
just,
man, I know
you know what
it's
I mean? So
completely
it's like,
fucked. It is.
I'm soaking that shit up. So it's like, I was starting to like go to Fred Meyer's and I'm like, getting lightheaded and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like I'm working all day, everything's fine, but I go to a grocery store and it's like I feel like anxiety and I'm like, oh my God, I'm soaking in people's you know, their energy. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm having to meditate on that, and I had to start doing that release meditation again. But that release meditation is a good start because it's 20 minutes, and even if you YouTube Brendan Burchard release meditation, like he walks you through it, and that meditation probably saved my life, you know. And
I'm
that's
going to
one.
look into that because I've been
Yeah.
struggling lately, actually pretty bad. I have a secret Facebook group. It's a wealth building group that I created. And because there's like 127 members, but I finally like admitted that I'm like, shit, I'm not happy. Like I'm really not happy right now. And, you know, it was hard for me to admit that publicly on any level just because, you know, people know me as a happy person and they count on that, you know, that
Yeah.
energy. But I'm at this spot where like I feel like I'm dying on the vine, you know, like it's just I'm not doing something right. And also like, you know, I'm trying to be sober, which,
Yeah.
you know, when you go from like normally if I'm stressed out, I'm gonna smoke a bowl and, you know, unwind, etc. And now I'm like, okay, and I don't want to drink, you know, and
Yeah.
I could eat an edible or you know go in that direction, but then again, like why can't I just be sober? What's wrong with
Sober
that?
is the way to be, dude. Even marijuana, dude, just stay away from it. If you feel funny, it's gone. Because
Yeah,
sober is the new high.
I like
Do
that.
you ever smoke weed and just like, well, when you were and you're just fucking thinking and dwelling on shit, or like, you know, like maybe let's say you were to stop, you smoke, and then like you're on fire, but eventually you dull your senses, and it's just, you know, it there's sober is where it's at, and you're gonna be more intuitive, you're gonna be more clairvoyant, you're gonna be able to read into the future, you're gonna be able to choose better, you know, uh I don't know, you know, you're just going to be able to make wiser choices.
Love that. I love it. And
Yeah.
I definitely need to, you know, utilize the tools. And I believe that the universe sends you the right people at the right time. And I'm
Yeah.
really grateful that you and I are having this conversation. And originally I was like, when I messaged you, I was like, can we do a podcast and talk about crypto, which I
Yeah.
totally want to get into. But
Yeah.
then you posted about your sobriety, and I was like, oh, I want to talk to him about that.
Yes.
That was something that I intrigues me more than even the crypto.
Yeah. Well, and healing spiritually. And you know what? I want to be able to be into crypto if I wasn't sober, right? If I
Yeah.
wasn't mentally clear and if I wasn't able to, you know, I'm like spiritual, you know what I mean? So if like I'm a loose vessel, you know, I don't like to be out of control, out of my mind. So in being me, people expect you to smoke. They expect you to do this, did it. Everybody back in the day, you know, in music, I'd do shows, and I remember doing a show, and I'm like, okay, when I walk in here, I'm not gonna smoke. I don't want anybody's cooties, anyways, dude. I probably made it like 10 steps and already hit like 40 different blunts, and I'm not even exaggerating. Every time I took a second step, someone's like, "You want to hit that?" And I'm like, dude, why? Like,
Mhm.
it's almost like you're like, oh, I'm gonna stop, and then eventually it's just right there. You know what I mean? So it's like marijuana's definitely can be addictive, you know, and people are gonna hate on me for this, you know,
It's no, it's
but
legit. It's true.
it's
It's true.
legit addictive, and
Anything
it's
that's habit
simple.
forming.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, and there are some people that are super okay, and I mean they can get work done, they can go a normal life. That's cool. But eventually, you know, I mean, what if you wanted to act and be in movies? How are you going to remember your script? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. How are you going to, you know, how are we going to communicate on this level? We're fucking sitting here and, you know, I'm taking long hits, and all of a sudden I'm like, you know, we're sitting here
Yeah.
for 30 seconds, like not saying anything. Maybe we are, and it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, no, cryptos are legit because, I mean, I don't think I would have been able to invest not being sober from, I mean, just any drug and any, you know, being clairvoyant and having like a gut instinct on like where to put your money when you don't have any money just to grow money. But money's not even real. And then you realize that and you're like, money has no fucking meaning. And it's just, you know, money is a mirage and it's a tool. And the minute that you can figure out that, the minute that you can lose the fear of money, you've got it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah,
Because
absolutely.
there's a lot
The
of
thing
people.
that the reason why money has value is because we choose to give it value. We choose to give it power,
Yeah,
and
over us. We give it power over us. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. I definitely believe that, especially because I started researching the central bank and how the dollar is not backed by anything anymore,
no.
and I started going down that rabbit hole because my first book is called How to Make $10 Million with a Rubber Chicken. And so it was really important for me to learn about money. Like, how are people making it? How do you become a millionaire? What
Yeah,
steps do I need to take? And investing is a big part of that.
100%, dude. I think that might be like the number one part of it. Like, and you know what it is? It's not even investing, it's having an investor mindset. Because, I mean, if you're in a relationship, what are you doing? You're investing time,
Right.
energy, love. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it's, I mean, you're having kids, you're like, okay, this is an investment. It sounds weird to say that, but everything is an investment, you
You're
know.
absolutely right.
Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I don't know. I'm learning. I don't know. I just, you know, it's just you know, and oh, I'm sorry to cut you off, but yeah.
You don't. So one of my bad habits is that I have a tendency to talk over people
Uh-huh.
because I get excited about what they're saying, and like, oh my gosh, little things go off in my brain, and I want to contribute. I'm trying to work on being a better listener and waiting for people to finish, and that's not
Yeah.
always an easy thing for me. It's a skill
No.
set, right?
Yeah.
I think we're jiving pretty well. Are you
Yeah.
investing in anything other than crypto or like this traditional stock market? Do you have a Roth IRA?
I do not, and I'm still reading up on it, and I'm just kind of I'm curious about it, you know. But no, I should. I'm gonna work up to it, and I think that I just have to get to a certain point, you know. It's funny, like my first investment was like you know, a broke man's investment. Like when you ever heard of Workhorse?
No.
It's they were electric vehicle company, an EV company, and they
Okay.
were like 30 cents, and then they were going for the UPS, but they bumped up to like I got like 600 shares. I spent like $300 because I got some at $1 and some at 30 cents, and you know, and then eventually went up to like $45 like randomly, and then I got, you know, Dogecoin at, you know, so it's
Yeah.
like at a point like I'm like I can't afford Bitcoin, and I'm like, what's this Dogecoin? I'm like, this, you know, Elon Musk, like this is like 3.5 years ago, maybe four. Elon Musk is talking about it, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, and you know, they're investors, and they're, you know, they have a good cause. They're giving money to I forget what they're like, Brazil or something. I don't know, but they're doing good things with their money and starting charities. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, if and every book that I've read, it's like if you're going to invest, read about who you're investing in and what they invest their money in, and if they're good hearted, and there's something behind it, so I looked at these businesses, and I think I spent 300, $400, and eventually it went up to like 10,000 or something. And then I invested in like this company Neo at like $2. It went up to like $65. So it's like, and then now I don't have any more in regular stocks. I switched all to crypto.
So you say you can't afford Bitcoin, meaning you can't afford to buy one Bitcoin, but you can buy pieces of Bitcoin.
I could buy Bitcoin now, but I don't.
Did you make a lot of money on Doge? Were you able to buy in and ride that ladder up and sell at the right time?
Yeah, and then there's times where I haven't sold. I've been watching Doge for a long time, and I could definitely buy a Bitcoin, but the thing is I still think broke. So it's like, why not, buy like XRP or something? This is just me, like I have, a shit ton of XRP, and I got them like at 12 cents, like when everybody sold because they were, there's the SEC lawsuit. I'm the person that, like, if everybody goes right, I go left. So like SEC, I see things like they're like, oh, SEC lawsuit, XRP is fucking done. I'm like, SEC, I mean, they're only suing them because there's got to be a reason, you know what I mean? Like, because they're doing something right. And Bitcoin got a lawsuit because, I mean, if you're going to be that big, you kind of have to be in between some kind of a guideline, and they're going to have to take you to court. I don't know if this is true or if I'm right, but I'm doing pretty decent on XRP. I know, like, it shot up and went back down. I think, are you familiar with XRP?
I'm not familiar with XRP. I'm invested in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. Yeah. That's it so far.
Yeah. And those are all like legit, like fucking, like if I got to a point to where like I had like, 400 or $1,000 or something, I'd probably buy a couple Bitcoin, like one of my goals is to own one, but I'm just doing so well not,
Are you day trading, or is your strategy buy and hold?
I was here and there a little bit, mainly buy and hold, because like, I just learned off the first couple, like even Dogecoin, I was buying it, selling it, buying it, selling it. And at one point I had like 750,000 Dogecoins. And then like, you think that's done, so you move it, you know what I mean? I still have over 100,000, but it's like 750,000, like, fuck, dude, that's like 500 grand if I would have held it, So it's like, by moving around too much, you're just gonna, for me, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be irritated. So it's like, why not just keep on, but there is a point where you take out, you have to, because there's also been some that I haven't taken out on, and then it just goes down. You lost your ass a bit. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, like, you could take other people's advice. My advice for myself that really worked out is to just fuck up over and over and over, and do good and be successful. So, hold on, something just popped up on here. I gotta, So, but no, it wasn't no porno. So it was, but to learn from your own failure, like, so you have that gut instinct. You're like, oh, I should have sold. So next time, because there's always going to be a next time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, what about you? Do you day trade? Are you holding Bitcoin long term? Are you going to sell, and then when it drops, you're going to rebuy? So
I was first introduced to crypto almost 10 years ago, actually. And it was really, well, I say, no, I didn't, because I was like, I heard about crypto from people in Pakistan. And because Pakistan is a third world country, I was thinking it was a scam, like I didn't believe in it. I did some research, and I was like, no, this isn't going to go anywhere. So no, I didn't. I completely was like, nope. And my plan was to invest in the traditional stock market, but the stock that I want to buy into is a $3,000 buy-in. And, I was homeless actually at the time that I was reading all this. I mean, like, when I hit rock bottom financially, it was literally like, I'm bankrupt. I lost everything I owned. I'm homeless, and I'm researching how to rebuild my life. Right. And so I stayed away from crypto. It was actually my daughter, who's 19, who she's like, Mom, I want to invest in crypto. I've been following this girl on Instagram that teaches day trading, and she's got this course where it's like $3,000, and I've been saving up my money, and I'm going to buy into this. And I was like, oh shit. So,
hey, go where the kids are going, man, because that's what it's about. Hey, but
and
anyway.
so I started doing my own research, and I was like, okay, listening to Gary Vaynerchuk and Mark Cuban, etc.
Yeah.
So I knew that Bitcoin was where I wanted to go. So so I was like, okay, I can't afford Bitcoin. I don't have a lot in crypto invested, truth be told. I think I've put in like maybe 700, which is a lot for me right now.
Yeah.
And I went through Bitcoin because, I was like, okay, this is what I feel is the most stable choice. And my plan for that is to buy and hold, period. Just buy and hold, buy and hold. And then I experimented with Ethereum. I'm not happy with Ethereum because I tried to move my Ethereum from the exchange. I used Coinbase from the exchange to a cold wallet so that it was safe. And they took, I had put in like $175. They took over half of that in gas fees to move it from the exchange.
Fucked up.
They're terrible. And I was like, what kind of asshole? Like if you look at it on banking terms, right? If I was to go to the bank and I wanted to move my...
That's Coinbase. That's not Ethereum.
Do you think it was a Coinbase thing? Because I don't know. I mean, I'm pissed at Ethereum. I'm like, that's ridiculous.
Well, because you moved it, yeah. I don't know, that's a rough one.
To take over half of my investment as a gas fee, that, like who agrees to that bullshit? That's nonsense.
Yeah, I've purchased a couple on Coinbase Wallet and got but I knew I was gonna get hit with the gas fee, and I'm like, dude, that's a lot, but this might be a good investment. I don't know if it was, I haven't made, but I've made some shitty investments, but I made some really good ones. But yeah, no.
Where do you use for your exchange if you don't like Coinbase?
I use Coinbase. I use Robinhood. I use Webull. I use E-Trade. I use BitSmart. I use Coinbase Wallet. Oh God, and I use shit. There's another one. Oh God, it's gonna bug me.
You're like, I gotta look it up.
Yeah, I do have to look it up. Crypto.com.
Crypto.com. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you following BitBoy Crypto on YouTube and listening to his content?
Yeah, he's one of them. He's definitely one of them. Yes, I listen to a lot of his stuff. And then there's some things that I don't. There's some things that I disagree with. Some things that I'd say like 79% I agree with.
Do you know he was hooked on meth?
No, but I could see it now that you say that.
He talked about it today. He's been sober for 14 years now. And apparently he got completely strung out on meth and got in to the point where he went crazy. He said he'd done meth that day. And I think he said he did several hits of acid and something else. And he basically had a mental freak out, ended up fighting the cops. I know he fought the cops. He broke a cop's arm and ended up almost dying in ICU, kind of almost end of life kind of a thing. So it was interesting to hear him, and now he just bought a Lamborghini because of his crypto investments. That's a.
You want to know my thought on drug addicts okay, so I think that when you hit, you talk about being homeless, you hit rock bottom, you hit a point and you have all this energy that you harness to just fuck up, and you flip the magnet, and it's just as much as you hit, it's like a stock. Like when something falls, so let's say Bitcoin goes all the way up, it actually has to come down, and it has, let's use Dogecoin. Dogecoin goes up so high, it has to come down even further than it went high, because it went so high and hit the ground, but then it has to bounce back up and then fucking slingshot. I don't know if that's a good, but for me being a drug addict, I feel like I took my drug addict energy and I harnessed it. I used to be able to get all kinds of money back in the day. it wasn't good money, but it's like, you know, if I can flip that and use that for the positive and put that energy and that darkness into light and investments and but not even that, but what are you going to do with your what are you going to do for the world? Like, I'm not trying to make $100 million. I'm trying to inspire 100 million people.
Right.
You inspire 100 million people, you made $100 billion. It's not even about the money. It's like, fuck the money. It's like, how do you inspire 100 million people? I mean, that's what BitBoy's doing, you know,
He's got
right?
a really nice program. He really, and I love the fact that he decided he was going to do his YouTube channel and that he wanted to go and have it be about crypto. And in the beginning, he had no followers, you know, and it took him took him several years to make that happen. And so, like for me, I'm just you're my 13th podcast, you know, and you know, like how many people are watching, kind of a thing. But I'm building something because I like doing this sort of thing. I love it, and I don't know what's going to happen with it. I hope I'm good at it, and I hope I continue to become, you know, to improve my craft. But I like this kind of thing.
Yeah, well, and imagine like on number 100, like so once if you just keep on staying consistent, eventually it just all trickles back, and you know everything builds up.
Yeah,
so you just got to stay consistent, just keep on doing them. You know, that's
I'm trying every Thursday. I'm like, okay, every Thursday, but it's been I missed 2 weeks in a row because you and I had our schedule, and then I got sick, and then last week we just didn't line up. So it was kind of nice to have a break because I suffer from social anxiety a bit, and so sometimes it's hard for me to put myself together enough to actually be in front of people.
I get it. Yeah, I meditated before I came on here. Like I was like, oh, and I floated. You should have seen it. Yeah, like I went like 3 feet off the ground. It was weird. But no, like I, I'm really big on meditation. And you say social anxiety, and it's like, you know, before I communicate with a human, or before I walk out of my car, or you know, step out of my car, or walk in between a doorway, I think of 3 things I want to be. You know, I could be like, hey, I want to be alert, clairvoyant, and funny. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I want to be active, I want to be energetic, and I want to be loving. You know, whatever those 3 things are, like, and those help me with my social, you know, my my oddness in my brain going on, because I'm just over here and over there, and it's like I just have to center myself.
So
breathe through the nose.
When did you start getting into music? Because I was listening to some of your music today, and actually a couple weeks back too, and I was like, this guy's talented, like really talented.
Some of it's a little off, some of it's a little on, some of it's out there, and some of it's here. But yeah,
Can I play one of the songs that I like real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to do a screen share because I'm really bad at this, but we're gonna give it a go. And I don't know how you feel about this particular hit, but I really like it. So this is what we're gonna do.
It's all my children.
All your children. I like this song.
I appreciate you saying that too.
This one.
Yeah. Northwest Riders.
Yeah, and I love how you did the video too, and the performance.
Thank you. So this one I was doing videos, so I didn't actually shoot this one, but this is the only video that I did not edit or anything. So, but I learned so much from this one. It was shot on a Red camera. So I was doing videos, and this guy hit me up. His name's Samuel Lask, and he told me, you know, he's done cinematography for like John Carpenter and stuff, and he's a really talented person, and he has an eye for things.
Yeah.
And
so you were talking, but so when you were talking, I couldn't hear what you were saying because your music was playing. So I was like, wait, I'm going to stop the music for a second.
My bad. No, let it play. Hey, well, I couldn't hear it on my side. I thought it was just silent. No, let it run.
Oh no, it was totally playing. At least
let it play.
Yeah, I'm gonna let it play for a minute, okay? Hold on, let's go back here. Wait, oh shoot, I messed it up. Bear with me.
Just I can't hear it on my side, so I'm just.
Well, hopefully it's playing because I absolutely love it. If not, I have I'm gonna include. I already put your link to your stuff, so bear with me just a second. How do I go here? Stop screen, and then I'm gonna go share screen, share the screen. Go over here, click on this guy, hit that, and go bam.
Right there.
Okay, so did you write that? Did you write the lyrics for that?
I did.
Ah,
Yeah, I write all my lyrics.
ah.
No ghostwriters,
So, oh, you're
except for
so
the ghost,
freaking
except for the
talented,
ghost in
man.
the room.
Ah, I absolutely
I,
love that.
I appreciate
How long ago was that?
you. Oh God, it should say on there. I don't know. I lose track of time. Maybe 4 years ago. I don't know.
How did you create the video?
So I just kind of shot the idea to this guy, and then he just kind of brought it to life. So he's a genius with lighting, and he's a genius with the camera. And he saw what I was doing on YouTube with a couple of videos, and he's like, "Hey," he's like, "So I, we met up, and he's like, well, God wants me to shoot your videos for you, so let's shoot your videos." And I'm like, "Okay." So he shot 3 of them for me. I edited the other 2, but it's like a red camera. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's like what they would shoot like a Harry Potter movie. It's like a $75,000 camera. Not to put a
Wow.
price on something, but it's like a movie camera.
Yeah.
Um, so what I did is I just kind of shot the idea of what I wanted and gave him a couple pictures, and he just kind of brought it to light. And he brought in Melinda Ayers, which was a makeup artist, and painted us all up, and it was fun. Yeah,
It
it was
it
it was a
looks
fun experience. I shut up and I listened. We would start like at 11 a.m. in the morning, and we would end like at 4 a.m. the next day, like getting ready. Yeah, like it was kind of cool, but it was like a preparation for like, I mean, what if you're doing big shit? I mean, 18-hour days, you kind of just have to tough it out.
you were sober during that time in your life?
Mm, I was, but I was smoking some weed.
Some weed. If it's
Yeah,
not, weed is not a bad thing. It really isn't.
not bad.
I'm definitely like totally pro legalization. I'm grateful that I think it's very beneficial for a lot of people.
Yes,
When we've talked about the pros and cons quite a bit, like I'm so very grateful that it's available and it's no longer a criminal offense.
it's medicinal if you were to use it for that, like a
You use
migraine.
it properly.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I don't think anybody should be operating a chainsaw. No, so some people are fine though. You know what I mean? I just For me these days, it's not a go-to.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
it's not something that I want. I'm not smoking right now, and I feel good.
When did you start music again? How old were you?
So I would say second grade. Music was kind of like how would I put this? So I don't do music because I like doing music. I do music because it's medicine, and I'm a little off.
Do you
So
think you're off really? Because I don't think
um,
you're off at
well,
all.
there's times that I can be off. And to get on, I have to meditate. I have to do music. I have to exercise and go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like my day to day was I woke up at like 1 a.m., went to the west side, went to the gym, worked out till about 4, came home, changed, went to work, was at work by 5 a.m., worked until 4 p.m., probably 3:45, and then I came home, and then kind of did a couple things with some music, cleaned up a little bit, meditated, and then now we're here. So it's I, I am off, but I know what to do to tune in. But so maybe
Gotcha.
I'm not off. Maybe we're all a little bit off, and we just need a little bit. Uh, this is how I view the world. I'm a guitar, or no, the world's a guitar, and I'm the string, and I got to tune my strings in every day.
That's
I
beautiful.
play my guitar really fucking hard.
You write some mad awesome lyrics as
Thank
well.
you.
Like I liked the line in there that was that you couldn't be on a certain radio station. Who's the person on that? You were
Oh,
like, so and so won't play my music.
Q93 won't play me on the radio station, so I slapped T-Man in the face with my dick and told him I was his
Yes,
replacement.
I was like, oh my goodness, snap! I was like, there you go, that is right there.
Yeah.
That's tight. I
I,
love that.
I'm a nerd, so I love the way that lyrics, like, it's like a puzzle. Like I'll be sitting there like I've oh my god. I tried doing like the iPhone thing, and I've done that for a while, but I'm a like a fold of like a piece of paper in my pocket and write like scribble notes, and then like sit like around my room and take like 10 pieces of paper and just like it's like I'm trying to put together this puzzle. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like it just the way the words hit. I don't know. Like there's a certain thing, and you know what's weird? I write backwards, so I write a line, and then I'll write the next line, and then I'll take that second line and put it on top because the first line's always the best. So it's like you almost want to end with that first line because that was the first thought, and now you just got to rhyme. You just got to think of something to kind of
You've
bring
got
that.
some great
Yeah,
hooks and everything. It
thank you.
snaps. It's just, it's on it. So tell me about the
Appreciate that.
hair. How did you come up with that?
Um, so I think everything happens in pieces and puzzles. And, I'm a huge believer in spirituality and going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. So when I went to jail and drug court, I'm going to give a weird story.
I
I'm a
love
little,
weird
I'm,
stories.
yeah, I'm just a little deep. So it's,
Daphne
I
wants you
wish
to
I
know
had
that
like,
your hair is awesome.
oh,
Just
thank
so
you. I
you
wish I
know.
had like a goofy story to it or something, but it's kind of spiritual. Like, so when I went to jail and drug court, like I lost a couple days. Apparently, I called some people, said I was going to commit suicide. All of a sudden, I wake up in jail. I remember bits and pieces as I get sober in jail, but they have me listed down as my alias being Monarch, and I'm like, I don't even use like the word monarch. Like, I've like heard a butterfly monarch, and then I'm like, oh, Illuminati or I don't know. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, why would they put me down as Monarch? Like, I'd be like, I'm Yak Nasty, motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right.
why? Who's going in there? And the security guards were saying, I was talking to one of them. I was like, oh yeah, you're in here throwing up the funk off, saying you're a monarch and you're from the skies and you were guiding this body and this vessel into the jail cell safely, so he wouldn't die. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, all
Yeah.
of a sudden, I'm Monarch and I'm like safely like helping this me, you know what I mean? So it's like, so I read Monarch and it's like talking about elites. That's kind of weird. So anyways, fast forward, I get out of jail. I had a bunch of people die. Like my dad died in drug court, like my grandma, his mom, and like three uncles, and then my grandpa shot himself at 93. So it's like all this, and that was kind of like during drug court and after, but butterflies just kept landing on me all of a sudden. And I'm like, that's weird. And then I was shooting a video, and then I just randomly I saw myself with this hair, and I just kind of braided it and threw it up, and I guess it kind of worked, but I don't even know if the story's interesting. But
Yes, it's
the
very
way that
interesting.
the
I
way so
promise.
when I look back on it, it's kind of weird because I'm like, holy shit, like. And sometimes God will like speak and universe will speak through people and like they'll be talking, but like you'll say something and I'll hear a word spurt out. Then like you'll say another sentence and then another word. So like your sentence, you're like, you might talk for 10 minutes, but a paragraph is being said out of your also while you're talking. So like certain
Yeah,
words
yeah.
are just like popping out and forming another sentence talking to me. But my whole thing is butterflies have antennas.
Okay.
And bees have antennas, and so for me to wake up in a jail cell with the name Monarch and then not even do this because of that, but later on I just kind of start throwing up my hair, and they're raggedy, they're down here, and eventually just over like 2 or 3 years I just keep on putting them up just a little bit higher,
How do
and
you get them up with wire?
with wire. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I mean
Okay.
eventually, and these have been in for like a week, not to be dirty or nothing, but I don't, people think I do it every day, but so I just wet the tips. But no, like uh so to me it represents being a caterpillar to a butterfly, and these are my wings, and we all go from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And that's why sometimes, like, I don't know if you ever had like what I would call an awakening, where you kind of feel a little bit more conscious and like people just aren't like, oh man, I'd hate to say this, but like it feels like people are on a lower vibration sometimes, and there's a little bit of a higher vibration, and like you just kind of elevate, and you're like, not to say that they're on a lower vibration, but maybe like the news is on a lower vibration. People are just falling into like the trap of just like being sucked into the box, and you're like,
Mm.
why are you letting that control your life? You know what I mean? And it's like you see these things, but nobody else sees them, and you can't even communicate it to someone because they don't speak the language. So that is the butterfly language. Like what we're talking right now, our conversation is a butterfly language. You are a butterfly. You are an angel. You might have
I
forgotten.
like being called both of those things.
Yeah, well,
For
and think
sure.
about it, like, we come to this planet with fucking amnesia, and we forget who we truly are, and that's why we're so lost, and eventually,
Do
let's
you
say
believe in reincarnation? Sorry to talk over you.
no, I like it when you do, and I really do. I think that's probably, like, me and my girlfriend, like, we met each other on a level of knowing that you I know you from another planet. And we are crossing again, like me and you know each other from another planet. We're on a soul contract to communicate right now and converse over this right now because we talked about this already before it happened. And we're like, hey, when we come to planet Earth, on this date, we're going to synchronize and we're going to communicate and we're going to lift the vibration of planet Earth by just speaking to each other. That's what I believe in. And I do believe in reincarnation. Maybe this is reincarnation. Maybe I'm like, I don't know, like maybe I'm a different person. And, sometimes, as we get older, we change, because maybe we're becoming more of how we were back then, or I don't know. Maybe that's what
What
dreams.
month were you born in?
March. I'm
March.
March 8th.
So what's your sign then? You're a what?
Pisces.
Pisces. Okay. I don't know very much about astrology. I know what my sign is, and like
What are you?
I'm a Capricorn. I was born in January.
Yeah.
And
January
11th.
Okay, nice.
And my daughter was born on my birthday, so that was pretty
Really?
cool. And you have a
Oh,
baby
guess
on the
what?
way,
1111.
right?
That's an angel number.
It's a
For
pretty
your
profound
daughter.
thing. It is. It
You have
is.
What would you say though about a baby?
You're having a baby. You have a baby
Yes,
on the way.
next month, August 20th.
That's amazing. I love that. Are
Yeah,
you having a girl?
I am. Yes, we are. Aya.
How do you feel about that?
I'm excited. Like, I'll be honest, like I was pretty shocked at first because like I had my first son when I was 17, and he just turned 18 and now he's 19, and before he turned 19, we found out that we're, gonna have this is a different mother, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
but so it's kind of interesting to be like have like literally like raise a kid, he turns 18 and then boom, God's like, here you go, round two, and it's this is my whole kick on life is that God, universe, creator, stars, whatever, fairy dust, I call it God. I'm not religious, but there's something bigger, and he has a better idea of what life could be and what's best for us, like, and that's the beauty of it. Like, that's the gift. Like, we didn't know it was coming. And like, that's the beauty of it. Like, it's just like, it's beautiful. I don't know. And that's why it's a true present. And that's not to be off target, but that's why they call the present, because it's a present. You're in the presence, So, and to have a son, which was beautiful, and now to have a daughter for me is just beautiful, and I'm just so excited to meet her. And we think that she's like a collective consciousness that we've been in communication with already, and like we know her from another planet and far away, and and she's here now, and to help make the world a better place. And I think that's what kids are here for. We like you learn from about crypto from your daughter. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we fail to listen to these kids. Like maybe they're raising us.
My daughter is the most profound person that I've ever met. And I truly believe that my purpose in life was to bring her into the world because she's supposed to be doing something great. And you said you're naming your daughter Naya?
Aya with A
Aya.
I don't even know, AIYA, I think. Aya.
Aya.
Yeah. Aya.
I love that. What does that mean?
I think it so I just like the name. I know Chrissy would be better at this question. So it would be like, I know it means new beginnings and love.
Okay.
And then but I think in Chinese it means something funny, like I just forget what it was, like something weird, like like dumb person or something. It's like goofy. I don't know. It's like it's funny. I don't know, but I know in American language it means new beginnings.
Do you speak Chinese?
If I did, I would know what it meant.
Deductive reasoning is clearly not
Yeah,
my
yeah.
strong
I was about
suit.
to Google, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, phone a friend.
How did you meet Chrissy?
So I was performing in Seattle, and she was filming, and she would film, and she was editing live videos for the show, which is AmDef, which is, oh my god, I love that. So fun doing that show. And she gave me her card. And it was funny, like when we met outside, like she was like looking, for me, and she was like, "Oh, they're like, oh, you can't miss this dude." Like, oh, and then she came, and it was like sometimes you meet somebody and there's like no effort in communicating. You just see each other, and it's like you're shoulder to shoulder, and it's like, "Oh yeah," and we're just like talking like we're fucking homies, you know what I mean? But just kind of, for a couple of minutes, and then she's showing me some stuff on her phone with some videos, and gives me a card, and it's like we're not like macking on each other, nothing. It's just casual, and we separate, and the night goes on, and then I perform, and then eventually I ended up calling her for live footage, and we converse, but we're conversing on a higher level and super casual, but we recognize each other from another spiritual realm. You know what I mean? And we're recognizing that. And I don't know. I mean, usually in my past, everything was like me being me would be like it's like sex first, sexual, and it's like I went through a point where I was like, dude, I'm just like I'm done. Like, so it was cool. Like, I think I told you earlier, I went celibate for a couple years, and then
Yeah.
maybe I had like one or two females that like we had something like just real short within that 2 years, but the main part I was celibate the majority of the time, and I was able to meet her through it, and it was just this. How would I word it? It was um I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. It was a natural connection, you know what I mean? Like it was pure.
Serendipity almost.
Yeah, like it wasn't it was a conversation. Like it was pleasing to have a conversation. Like it wasn't like she's super fucking hot too, and it's like, but it wasn't. It was a mental attraction.
Yeah.
She wouldn't be going for a dude like me. She's way out of my league. You know what I mean? Like she's professional. She's like super cute. It's like the fuck she doing going for Yak Nasty? Like that's weird shit. Like obviously, if we didn't have like some kind of a connection from another planet, you know, in another place far away, in another lifetime, why would we be with each other now? And it's cool that we understand each other, and it's we bring the best out of each other. Um, she's very spiritual, and we're pretty much into the same stuff. So I don't
How
know.
long have you been together now?
Let's say 5 years going on.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe
getting
maybe a little
pretty
bit more.
serious there, Yak Nasty.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Having a
She's a
baby, you're in the 5 years plus. Oh,
she's a great woman. So I'm
I
lucky.
love that.
Yeah, I lucked out.
I love that. I'm like one of those hopeless romantic, like love is my favorite thing to talk about, like so it's interesting on the celibacy side, and you said that you are a very sexual person in general.
I have always been.
Do you have groupies and women that just like try to throw themselves at you because you're a musician?
When there's shows, yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like and even, throughout just whatever, you know what I mean? But definitely when you're after a show, it's like you're the center of attention. So it's like
Yeah.
but it's almost like a superpower. So it's almost like not even fair. You know what I mean? And I just look at things weird now. And it's like I remember back in the day I'd have like dudes like fucking like, yeah, fuck my girlfriend. Like, you know what I
Oh
mean?
my
Like,
gosh.
dude, like their girlfriends would come and like make out with me. I'm like, dude, like, where am I? Like, what is going on? It almost is like it's weird. So it's like this kind of a lifestyle that could be really it could really be destructive. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
makes you kind of lose who you are, and because it's a mirage, man. It's not real. Because once you walk out of that and you start, you walk into the real world, it's not a show. You're only famous where you're famous. I'm not saying I'm
Yeah.
famous, but you're only famous where you're famous. Like, you know, uh, it, fucking, you could be like a rapper, you know, a country singer going to a rap show. Like, they might not know who the fuck you are. You know what I mean? Like, if you know, if you're a celebrity and you're in Australia and you're, you know, you're only the center of attraction where you are the center of attraction. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a goofy
Do you
world.
want to be famous?
I don't believe in fame. So I believe in quantum physics and sacred geometry and, you know, attraction. So I think that when you find yourself, you flip the magnet. Okay, let me break a word down for you. You know what paranoia is, right?
Yes.
Paranoia is when the world, you know, you're paranoid. The world is against you and it works against you. You ever heard of the word pronoia?
No.
It's a beautiful world. You should know it. And I'm going to tell you because once you know it, you can't unknow it. So,
Love that.
pronoia is when the world works in your favor and it works for you. So, rather than being, you know, it's pronoia. So, everywhere I go, the someone's waiting to make my world better.
Ah,
And if I can flip that switch on in myself, it's a magnet. You know, it's like sometimes we have a magnet and it pushes people away, and then we can flip that magnet and it brings everybody towards us. Like, let me say, like when I went celibate, like it was kind of weird, like because I'm celibate, and all of a sudden I'm like doing like let's say that AmDef show, and I'm surrounded by like 500 models, like just all kinds of, and it's like I'm just, it's like weird. It's like you put a halt on things. It's like you quit drugs, and all of a sudden you're just surrounded by drugs. Like, so it's, I'm not to say that's, you know, women would be drugs, but it's like depending on, you know, where you are
sex is a
sexually,
drug
it can
for sure.
definitely, it
You get
definitely is a
dopamine,
motherfucking
you
drug.
like
Yes,
absolutely
100%.
for
And
sure.
yeah, so to me, you know, I don't believe in fame. I just believe in the law of attraction. And I think that, you know, that works with anything and everything. And this is the thing that, like, if somebody did believe in fame, so let's say you're going for fame. Let's say you're trying to win the lottery ticket your whole life, and that's all you think about. The only time you win the lottery ticket is when you're not thinking of it.
Yeah.
So you make 1,000 different goals. Let's say my goal is to be an actor. My goal is to be a singer. My goal is to be a dancer. My goal is to be this, that. I got 1,000 goals, but my real goal is to be say I want to be like the biggest rapper known. But I'm also a producer. I'm a video editor. I'm a director. You know what I mean. So it's like if I'm on to the next thing, eventually now that has room to breathe and to come up. So, but the thing is, you don't get to enjoy it like it looks like you don't, like some people think like fame would be like something you're going to enjoy and it's going to be glamorous, and it's like, but you don't even, I would assume that most people are so busy they don't even see that they're famous. You know, imagine an actor, they've, you know, by the time they're on their 10th movie and they've just been studying scripts and sitting in trailers, the only time they're going to realize they're famous is when they're walking down the street and someone asks them for an autograph. Because they don't have time for that anyways, because they're just always working.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I can relate to that actually, because when I started my photography business, by my third year in business, and I literally, I taught myself from like searching on the internet how to be a photographer, how to start a business, and just literally sitting in my little cave trying to put the pieces together. Yeah. And so by my third year, I made $200,000 that year.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy thing because I didn't feel like I made any money. The only reason I knew I had made that much is I had to put together my profit loss. You know, like I was like, holy shit, I made a lot of money. And I didn't even realize it. It was just a part of the process. You know, I created something and was rewarded for it. Money was never the goal. You know, I wanted to be able to create a career for myself that allowed me to make a living, but $200,000 wasn't even something I thought was possible.
You got more than you even thought you could, probably.
I
Maybe.
did.
I don't know if that you weren't expecting it, so that's the gift. And you know, you weren't going after the money. Like you just said it all. It's beautiful. Like you didn't have time to realize you were even making that much money until you sat down and had to go over some bills, and you're like, or you know, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah. It was absolutely a shock, and
That's
it was
badass.
also a lot. It was also a lot to maintain, because I'll tell you, for me, the times where I'm the most successful monetarily, it's because I'm literally living and breathing something every waking moment, and I'm just enthralled in it, and there is really no other world. So I'm still trying to figure out the balance of actually being present and having friends and relationships and free time. And photography was my first passion. Now my focus and my heart is in writing books. I have my first book written, and there's another book that I need to get out there. And then there's also I don't want to do it all though. I want to be able to.
It's a lot to do.
It is a lot, and then you have to market that stuff, right?
Like by the time you're trying to market this, and like maybe your mind's so fast, it's like, how do you just do one thing? What do you want to do? Like, what's the one thing that you want to do? Because do you want to be an author? I mean, you don't want to be an author. You are an author.
I really want to spend my life, because my books are memoirs. I want to spend my time writing and traveling and actually interacting with people and talking to people, and I don't want to live an ordinary life. I mean, I just don't. I don't want a house. I don't want to. No, yeah, and that's just it. Is that I did the whole house with the picket fence and the kid and the dog, and I did all of that, and now I'm at the spot where I'm really great at photography. I'm very talented at that, and people really want me to stick with it. And there's a part of me that does, but I don't want to be in this box anymore. And so I'm trying to free myself.
You want to travel. You want to meet people, and for the good, for the best reasons. You know what I mean? Like, because you can't get, I don't know. And it's like when you're around the same people every day, like you just have to travel. You got to meet new people. You got to get out. You got to network, and that's my belief. Like, I don't care what's going on in my life. Like, I'll be able to juggle it. You know what I mean? But like, I have to have that. I have to go out. I have to breathe. I have to meet new people. Have to be in contact and like shake, even if I'm not shaking their hand, at least mentally connect with them, so it's like we're not able to like physically slap hands and give knuckles, but it's like we're mentally connecting,
it's really cool to talk to you today. It feels really good. So how do you book your shows? How does that even come about?
I just wait for someone to hit me up, and I haven't had, honestly, like the past couple shows that have been trying to be booked usually get canceled recently. So it's,
is that a COVID thing or a budget thing?
Yeah, because back in the day, I was like, fuck, dude, shows all the time, and it's like you just wait till somebody hits you up, and then you just do it. Or I don't like putting on shows because it's a lot. It's a hassle. You know what I mean? And now you're the artist, and you're putting on the show, and you're making sure that's a hassle. So it's fun just like waiting for a phone call. But this is my thing. Make motherfucking music videos, and you know what? The phone will ring if you just keep on, because that's where the show's at. Like, how many people like while you're out shooting music videos come up and like, what you doing? Then you're like, oh, check this out, or you're like, hey, you want to get in a shot? Like, want to do a part in this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, like music videos are like the show, and then you do as many videos as you can, and then eventually your phone's gonna ring. That's me. Like, you got to have something for people to look at. So it's like if I was doing a bunch of shows right now, I already know like my views would be like, they'd be rolling up. Like I have a good amount of views, but some, I definitely have a lot more if I was out performing, doing shows, not in town, on tour, hitting every different city and, different place. And I think God's really getting me like in gear right now, because it's like, even with the COVID shit, dude, like, man, as a musician, like every musician should have investments. Like, how many people hit the road broke and they're just like, you got to have some kind of money on the road. You got to have, it's fun to go out there and to just have nothing, you could just blow all your money or whatever and party. But it's like, you want to go out there with a business mindset, that would be me. Like, so God's really put me, the creator universe has really put me, I know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have this mindset before. So it's like, if you're going to make a shit ton of money, if you're going to make a shit ton of energy and, this thing that they call cash, what are you going to do with it? I didn't know what the hell I was going to do with it. I was just spending it because I was, you're trained to spend money. So it's like, oh yeah, you invest it. You know what I mean? So if like you're making money on the road from your passions, you got to invest that money either back into your music and back into your world and your universe or your children, obviously children and family and charities and donations and helping others. That's a huge one. But you really have to help yourself first so you can really do those things even bigger.
Have you been on tour before?
A couple times, and there are small ones, and quite a bit, but and that's just where it's at, dude. It doesn't matter where you are. I mean, the best thing about tour is if you're the right person, the whole road is a show. You get out at the gas station, and if you step out, someone notices you. They might not even. You just look like you do something. They're going to approach you, and then you can share. Hey, this is how you get a hold of me. This is how you check out my stuff. And it's for me. I get approached a lot, even if people don't know that I do music. Um,
Because you're a butterfly. You're
I'm
antennas.
I'm a butterfly. Thank
I
you.
mean, seriously, you're drawing people in. They're like, hey, who's this guy? I want to talk to this guy.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't have to approach people like back when we were young, like we're passing out flyers, and eventually people are like, they're gonna get tired of like, hey, come to my rap show. You know what I mean? But you still got to do that, and you still got to go out. But for me, like I feel like just walk around till someone approaches me, and then I'll be like, hey, by the way, yeah, we'll have a good conversation. And then I remember because I'm authentic, I'm not just waiting for a conversation so I can share my shit. Like I just love people. And
Yeah, me too.
yeah, so it's like when people talk to me, like at the end, I'm like, oh shit, and I like turn around, I'm like, oh, by the way, and maybe I'll give them a card. I'm like, hey, if you want to check out my stuff, that helps, I think. And I think going on tour, I think I would, yeah, I think I just got to put together the right tour. And I don't want to be a slave to some. It'd be fun to be on a certain record label, but imagine just doing it all yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It seems like I don't when so my number one thing that I wanted to do when I was young was that I wanted to be a singer because I am a singer. I love singing, and I actually kind of grew up rough. I was a runaway. I ran away from home for good at 15 because I was tired of going to juvie. But like my voice was the thing that stopped me from getting my ass kicked every time I got locked up. Like we would pump the toilet and they would have me sing. They would have me sing into the toilet. So, like I was the radio for like all the cellies, my cellies and the nearby people, and so I wanted to grow up and, tour and do what you're doing and perform. And then I didn't because there's a real world. And honestly, I wanted a family. I wanted, because that part of my life was always so fucked up. I got married really young at 19, and I settled down into my safe little bubble and I just stayed there, And so now as I'm in my 40s, I'm like, okay, I don't want to be in that anymore. Like I want to go out there and use my talents and my gift and my charisma and see what I can do with it.
You have so many. And what's crazy is right now at this moment, the world is just all in your favor.
If I can, what is that word you taught me today? Not paranoia. The opposite of it is
pronoia.
Pronoia. I haven't transitioned to that mindset. I'm still kind of stuck in that cycle of negativity, and I know it. And I'm literally, I've had my cards read a couple of times, and they keep telling me that like I believe that people don't like me. And it's not true.
Oh, they said that you believe that.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I guess that's just it. Is like
why are they putting that in your head though? I'm not saying they're wrong, but
I think that they were sensing it from me, like it's coming from me, and so like I have to figure out how to unfuck myself per se, like
what if it's deeper than that? What if it's all so this is my thought, like anything on the outside of us is a reflection of the inside. Like you are a reflection of me. I am able to show my best version to you, and you're able to show your best version to me because of how our frequency is built right now. And we're just bouncing back and forth, and literally we're just reflections of each other. So oh god, I'm almost gonna lose it. So by them saying, what did they say again one more time? That
I'm like I think that people don't like me, and
I think that people don't like you. So maybe I wouldn't like to say this about you, but maybe there's a part of you that doesn't like usually that would be like I don't like myself.
Yeah.
So, you
I
know what I
think
mean?
that
So I
there's
don't
some
want to be
truth
like,
to
I don't
that. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
dude, like me being me, like I'm like supposed to be Mr. Smiley. Everybody expects us to be in good moods. You know, we're human. We're gonna have off days. We're not gonna always be in a good mood. You know, we're not gonna, but you know, we mask up. Um, so for me, I went fucking. I'm telling you, I went fucking nuts, dude. I'm a little bit off. So I ripped everything off my walls because I got this fucking. I was meditating. I got this vision, and it was like rip everything off your walls, all your pictures, all your anything, and wrap it in white paper and only write about love, passion, you know, anything that's positive, you know, because I would feel really good. Like one day I'm like, dude, I got the world figured out. Go to sleep, wake up, like I was in hell. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like all I did was just shut my eyes.
Yeah.
Literally, I would shut my eyes, wake up, and I feel like shit and I'm in hell. And I'm like, same place, same house, same people, different fucking frequency. It was like someone just flipped the dial on the radio station. And I'm like, how do I switch this radio? Like, how do I get back on whatever I was on yesterday? So I had to like I would start on the days that I felt good, I would just be like, I would start writing about love, whatever I like. I went vegan. I've been a vegan dude for like 7 years. Like that
That's
changed me.
interesting.
Dude, that changed my life. Like,
I'm transitioning to that, but
oh
don't
dude,
call me a vegan.
no, I know. It's you know, having the label sucks, but it's like I'm just food conscious. Yeah, like vegan just sounds.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's
Pretentious.
yes. So it's but I just write about love, and like some days I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna eat kale and spirulina, and then like the next day I'm like, what was that called? Like shit, like I don't even like it was like someone like just wiped my memory for me, dude. I believe in dark and light, you know, and I believe in a lot of weird shit.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't think anything that you said is weird or off so
you,
far. One of the
yeah,
things made me wonder if when you went to sleep, like you were in a really positive place, and then you wake up the next day and things are just, it's the same reality, like you said. Maybe you didn't wake up in the same, like, maybe you weren't in the same reality,
I don't think I
meaning,
was. It was a different dimension.
yeah. So, have you watched the glitch in the Matrix yet on Netflix?
No.
It's interesting.
I've watched like Matrix and like, you know, I didn't know there was a glitch in the Matrix, but I need to watch that.
No,
It's right up my
it's a
alley.
documentary. It's a documentary, and honestly, I think I smoked pot or drank a beverage and didn't. I fell asleep through the last part of it,
Yeah.
but the part that I did watch, I was like, this. There's something going on. There really is.
Speaking to you.
Yes,
And
indeed.
nothing happens for no reason at all. Like this is another thing. Like I stopped listening to music. Like you're saying, like what you're saying, like watching movies like that I'm gonna like benefit off of. Like I'm gonna learn something. Like I mean, I love movies, but I had to. A lot of us watch TV and we watch movies and we let it just control our reality. Sometimes we, you know, we go to sleep, we have nightmares. Let's say if I like when I was younger, like listening to certain music, like that's setting the mood. Like we're going to beat some motherfuckers up. Like we got Spice One on the back, like whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, or you're smoking, you got reggae on, like you're setting the mood. So whatever you listen to, whatever you watch, whatever you read, that is going to control your mind unless you get to a point of just being so conscious you realize that this is just, you know, entertainment for the mind
Yeah.
in a sense. But I also believe that God speaks to us through these things. Like, I need to watch that. Like that sounds right up my alley. I like stuff like that.
It was definitely interesting, and
I'm
I
gonna write that
agree
down.
with you about. I agree with you as far as what you consume changes you. That's part of the reason I don't watch the news anymore. I don't. I don't buy into it. I'm completely unplugged from that. I try not to watch television
At
at
all.
all because I feel like it stifles me creatively, and I feel like there's better things for me to do with my time. So when I start watching TV, it's usually because I'm in a spiritual funk. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm just trying to shut off. And I've been doing that a lot lately of just not choosing to participate. Because again, I said, I don't want to be in that bubble and in that box, and I'm in the
Yeah.
box and I can't figure out how to get out of the box. And then there's
It
the
is a box.
reality of,
It is a box though, because you can't get out of it. It's like, that's why I've been running again because I felt like I was in a box. Maybe it's just like the planetary alignments because I think everybody's feeling like they're in a box. Some
yeah.
people, but most people aren't talking about it. Like you're open, you're like, hey, I'm in a box. Like someone open, like I need, get me out.
I need
Like,
out. Yeah.
I
I
need
need
out of this.
out.
I need out of this fucking box. Like, dude, like I went like Forrest Gump that shit the other day. Like, I started running again, but I didn't go to the gym because like you got the news right in front of you. I'm like, these dicks, like I'm like in here trying to run and there's a TV like everywhere that's got, just bullshit on it. And I'm like,
Yep.
dude, like I just need like the sunshine, like something, and so I just been running around town, like just getting that sunlight too, that vitamin
Yep.
D, and just it just feels good, even if it's just a walk. But I'll try to like either like first thing in the morning or wait till it's like 8 o'clock and it's not like 85 or 90 out. I don't know. It's kind of hot. But
Yeah, I've been trying to get back into running as well. I'm not a strong runner. I have asthma, and then you already know I was smoking a lot of pot, which
yeah, dude,
gets in the way.
meditation will really help.
I need to work on it.
Yeah, I want to have a conversation with you about this like another time too, and even more, because I think that I've helped a lot of people. Like, I feel like I'm put here to help people heal. Like that's why I heal myself, so I can, help others heal themselves. But when you breathe, you're opening up your airwaves. So sometimes I feel like my lungs are just plugged up, and it's like if I can just, by about 20 minutes into my meditations, it feels like a huge wave, like I'm pulling, because when you blow out, it's like you're blowing a birthday candle out. You're like I can take a deep ass breath, like
Through your nose.
but it gets deeper. Like that's the, you do enough of those, and you, like I've meditated with people, and like, holy fuck, dude, like, how do you even have lungs like that, But it's, I don't want to be all weird now because my nose is stuffy. It was like,
I could tell. It's like you're sucking your nose into your brain. You're like,
but like when no one's around, it's like, you're just like, you're, I see it like you're pulling down from the heavens and pulling up from the ground. And it's like you're finding this in between, and you're pulling up and you're pulling in. I don't know. It really helped me with opening up my lungs.
I think that you're definitely onto something with the breathing, and it's interesting because you are the second person that's talked to me about breathing recently. A good friend of mine and a client, Velvet is her name. She came for business portraits, and she's like, "I need to teach you how to breathe." And she had me go into my bedroom, and she taught me this breathing exercise, and she said, "You need to do this. It's important for you." And and then here you are again talking about the importance. And telling me, A, I need to be sober, and B, I need to breathe, and like telling me the things that I need to hear. And that's pretty cool.
Because I am you.
Whoop,
just with wings. So the weird thing is like, we're mouth breathers. Like, I wish someone would have taught us how to breathe in school. Like, why don't we go to school and like they're like, okay, like I just don't get it. Like, why would you not go to school and they're like, like teach you how to breathe and like operate your hands and you know what I mean? And like your body and your legs and like what your organs are. And like, I just don't get it. Like they I don't want to say they teach us useless shit, but I mean,
but they kind of do on a lot of levels.
Kind of do. I mean, it's cool. It like triggers the brain. Like, I don't know. I'm weird. Like, I just don't, I'm not oh God, dude, I remember I was in, was it 9th grade or 10th grade? My social.
Did you grow up here?
Yeah. Well, I was born in California, then grew up here. So my social skills teacher dropped a pamphlet in front of me at school and was like, "Hey, you don't belong here." Like, I'd check that out. And it was a GED pamphlet. And I'm like, but now years later, like I'm like, who does that? I'm like, nobody like talked to me like, "Hey, is everything cool? Like, how come you're not showing up?" Like, she just dropped it and was like, "Hey." But now I'm like, wait, was that the golden ticket? Was that like
Spirit? I got my GED. I certainly did.
Was that Spirit though? Like, hey, you need to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
Like, rather than being forced to go to school, like getting to a point to where you choose to go to school, like I started, like I became obsessed with books. Like, I kind of want to touch on this. Like, my whole life I would eat food and I would feel like I had a hole in my stomach. I mean, I would eat I eat a lot. I'm like a fat dude in a little body. Like, I eat all day, every day, all the time. And still, there's one point where I was just eating. Finally, I had a full meal and I'm like, dude, like I'm tired of this. Like, I don't feel like I ate. And like, I remember looking at Barnes and Nobles and I was like, fuck, dude, I'm just going to go read a book. And I wasn't really like into reading. And I walked around Barnes and Nobles for like an hour and I'm like, I didn't know what to read. And finally, like a book fell. That's how I pick out books. Like, I'll walk around until a book falls. And it was on esoteric energy. And this is like right when I woke up vegetarian and then I ended up going vegan. It's kind of a weird story. But
what's the difference between? Sorry, I want you to be able to stay on this time. But what's the
yeah,
difference between a vegan and a vegetarian?
vegetarian, they can still eat cheese and eggs and
Shit,
drink
hold
milk.
on, hold on. I turned on music. Go ahead. I can hear you now.
No, you're good.
Vegetarian
So yeah,
versus vegan.
they just don't eat meat. So
Okay.
vegetarians, yeah, they still eat cheese. Like if it comes from an animal, they just don't eat an animal.
Okay, gotcha.
Does that make sense? Like so they'll still
Yeah.
drink milk, eat cheese, like, but they won't eat an animal.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. And like vegan, it's like I don't do meat. Anything with eyes or a brain, like I don't touch. Like if I think it has some kind of feelings or emotion, like I just can't touch it. But plants have
Yeah.
feeling and emotion, so maybe I don't know. You just know.
Mm.
You just don't know. So I ended up waking up a vegetarian, and anyways, but so I walked in, I finally found this book and I read it, and like within the first 17 pages, it spoke to me about something that I was tapped into. So I was like, fuck, I read this whole book, and it was like a 500-page book, and I was full. And when I left, I spent like 4 hours. I never used to read. And from that day on, I read a book a day for like 2.5, 3 years, every single day, full book. And I think I realized what people's problem is and why we overeat.
Talk to me about that.
Because we're eating the wrong food. We don't have knowledge, and we're seeking this honest knowledge, and um, you know, we're not getting it. Right? What did you
I've
say?
always been a carnivore. Like I grew, and that's mostly because that's how I grew up. We were latchkey kids, so my mom and dad divorced when I was really small, and so a lot of times it was Hamburger Helper, Top Ramen.
Oh yeah.
We would have steak. We ate steak a lot. That has been my favorite food up until recently. It is literally the scare from the chest pain and not being able to breathe and coughing up the black phlegm. So I've been researching cancer fighting foods because I've convinced myself that maybe I have lung cancer, and so I'm like, but if I do have lung cancer, I don't want to go through chemo. So I'm going to figure out how to heal myself by eating the right foods. And so now I've just been eating vegetables, and I love it.
I like you all. I like what you're saying right now.
I
Keep
love
going.
it.
Yeah, do you feel it though?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I broke down. Yes. My guy just got back into town. And so we splurged and went to pizza, and I had some pepperoni and some meat on there, and I feel awful now. And I'm like, dang it. So no, the vegetables are working for me. And
They got
it's interesting.
vegan pepperoni with some vegan cheese on it.
Yeah.
It's plants. I'm just saying.
I don't know how I want to keep things really simple with my food, I guess that's why I'm not looking for. Go ahead.
Well, no, say what?
I was saying, I guess that's why I'll wake up in the morning for breakfast and I cut broccoli, asparagus, sweet onion, red pepper, Brussels sprouts, and I saute it with some olive oil, and that's what I have for breakfast, and it's delicious.
So what's the ingredients in broccoli?
I don't know. Broccoli.
What's the ingredient in a strawberry?
Strawberries.
What's the ingredients in like Captain Crunch?
Oh, right. Ugh.
Dude, like who knows? Like, so it's like, so if the best thing that you're doing is what you're doing, because an alkaline food. So if you're eating food that's alive, what is that going to do to your skin cells and your organs? It's going to bring them to life. It's going to give you life. If we're eating like dead flesh, and I'm not like, I don't hate and I don't preach, like everybody's different. Fish is good for some people. Everybody's body's different. I just know what makes me feel good. And if the food is alive, which most plants are just like, they're just alive, and you can tell when you eat it, you can feel it. But when you're eating flesh and you're eating even like bread, it's just got this like, maybe it's, I don't know. I love bread. It's a hard one to kick. But yeah, I guess like just dead flesh, you just feel it. It's just death, you know what I mean? It's just kind of bad. I just feel it in my stomach. So if I'm eating asparagus, if I'm eating plants and lettuce and strawberries and tomatoes, and it's alive. I ramble, but yeah, no, it's alive and it feels good, and I can feel my body. My skin is brighter, my eyes are wider, and I feel good. People, it's funny. Like the other day, I don't know. It's kind of weird because I sat down and I was like talking to God. Sometimes I talk to Buddha. Sometimes I talk to Thoth. But I was talking to Jesus, and I was like, hey, I was like, oh man, help me with this and that. And I was like, oh dude, fuck this. I'm like, you know what? What can I do for you? And I'm like, you know what? I give my life to you. Like I'm done, like asking for everything. I'm selfish. Keep on asking, what can I do for you? Like use me as long as it's for love and passion. But then like the next day I went to work and like I even saw it in the mirror, but I went to work and one of like when the workers in the shops were like, hey, he's like, you look like you got like a Botox or something. It was the weirdest shit.
Ooh.
He's like, dude, and he's like, your skin's all tight, and he's like, oh, weird. And it was, but it's funny because I saw it in the morning when I looked at myself. I was like, dude, my skin looks brighter. You know, maybe it was talking to Jesus. Maybe it was just like, I don't know what it was. Could be
What do you
anything.
think that Jesus wants you to do to give back ultimately?
Inspire those to be inspire other people to be their greatest version of themselves and to inspire those that inspire others.
I think that sounds perfect. Yeah, I think the world needs a lot of inspiration right now. It really does feel like Armageddon out there.
It does.
Things are really, really, really twisted.
I think it's a spiritual war right now. And I don't, I think it's, you can feel it, Uh, what do you think? What are your beliefs on what do you believe in? I'm
So
curious.
I'm not a religious person. My mother was Catholic, so I have the Catholic background, and she actually went to Catholic school, and so
Uh-huh.
she let my brother and I choose. What we weren't forced to go to church or anything like that, but church was something that I sought out just naturally.
Yeah.
I didn't believe in God when I was younger. I was kind of curious about God. I The day that I found God was when I was a teenage runaway, and my boyfriend at the time punched me in the face because I called him a rapist. And so I have blood dripping down my face, and I go and I'm hiding in an alleyway, just crouched down, and I'm thinking about suicide. I'm thinking about the fact that I'm living on the streets. I have nowhere to go. Nobody loves me, and if I was to die right there wouldn't be anybody. And I was like, this is I need something. Please don't just leave me here. And there was a voice that was inside that was really, really clear and said, "You're not alone. I'm with you. All you have to do is reach out." And that was, for me when I realized, I was like, "Oh my gosh, God is here, and God has been here the whole time. I just needed to ask." And so church is an interesting thing for me. I think that there's a lot of evil that happens in church,
Yeah. I believe. Unfortunately.
so in religion and the things that people do in the name of needing people to conform to their beliefs
Mm-hmm.
is something that I find really disturbing and appalling. So when I see what's happening right now with the unhappiness, the uncertainty, the racial division, where it's supposed to be that all white people hate black people, and that America is this horrible cesspool of disgusting evil. I don't know what if I've just been living in a shell, but that hasn't been my experience from the people that I've interacted with throughout my life, of all colors and races, etc. I've seen more love than that. This time that we're in right now, I see more hate and anger than I've ever experienced, and I don't know what to make of it. That's my take on
Yeah.
things.
No, I 100%. Do you think that most of that hate exists within the media and
Mhm.
the TVs and the editing that they do on Facebook and YouTube?
I think that it's inflammatory on purpose, that they need the chaos, because it's kind of like when you go to the movies, the action scenes, everything has to be bigger and more and more and
Yeah.
more, and people are become so desensitized to things that they're like, okay, how do we sensationalize things and make it to keep that boiling blood so we can keep them
Yeah.
hooked into our grasp? I think it's a trap.
So what if the world were to be whatever we wanted it to be? What if we were able to whatever we believe that's what we could turn the world into? You
I
know?
think that's already true, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's like, but it sucks because we're distracted with all this we're distracted and with the media and they want us this is what's crazy is like, you don't even know what a skin tone is until you go to school. Like you're just a kid.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you want to get on some race, it's like racial stuff. It's like we're kids until they're like, oh, you're this and you're that and you're that, and you're like, I thought we were just kids having fun.
yeah,
And then it's like, and all of a sudden, like the brain's thinking. It's like until someone teaches you. So how do we unlearn? Because I am spirit, and we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and I think we get that confused. And we have it the other way around. We feel like we're human beings having a spirit. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and it's just it boggles me to like sometimes even because it's hard not to see some things and hear it. Like I'm really good at tuning stuff out. Like I was really good at not watching the news, and then all of a sudden it's like there's people at like obviously there's people at work like, hey, we got to wear masks today, and it's like I don't know what kind of fucking news you guys are watching, but I'm not wearing fucking. What are you talking about? Like masks and shit? Like what?
yeah.
Like I don't watch the news. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. So that's my thing. Like, and I've never, and I, people have experienced, different things, and it doesn't always involve the box. Obviously, things get said out and about, but I don't know, man. You just gotta hit. You just gotta spread that love.
That's what I
You just
try to
gotta
do. I
share
mean, really,
love.
when I go out, I'm like, I try to be as nice as I possibly can be to people. Although occasionally I
That's
have
all you
evil
can be.
days. I
You
mean,
can what?
I have the occasional evil day where just something takes over, and like the
Isn't
other
that
day I
crazy?
was, yeah, and it gets me in trouble. I mean, like I'm more beautiful and loving than I am evil, but I definitely have a darkness. I think most people do.
I do.
Uh,
I have
I
to
don't
meditate
know
more.
why it's there, but it's definitely there.
Do you think it's our like the human side of us? Do you think that like we're spiritual and then like the human brain just has this like little tick to it that just
Well, that's what I was going to ask because you've mentioned a couple times you're like, I'm an addict. I am a drug addict.
oh, 100%.
And
I'm an addict at everything.
so are
I'm an
you,
dude, I'm an
is,
investor addict.
is that a spiritual addiction or is that a human problem? Like, do you believe that your soul is an addict or do you believe that your human is an addict?
Oh man, I've never been asked that. I think that it might be my brain. Because when I go into spirit mode and I meditate and I breathe and I slow down, I'm able to kind of conquer that darkness a little bit. I could sit here all day and talk about meditation and being centered, but I'll tell you what, I have darkness. I have a there is a hell in all of us. But it's better to speak about it, because if you don't speak about it, it just sits inside you and rots. You know what I mean? So it's like, why not put it into a book or put it into a podcast or put it, and share your thoughts and, and just dish it all out, and talk about it. Most people don't. And they hoard it and they harness it, and it festers up, and I think that's trouble. I don't know. I honestly think that it might be a human thing. I think that there's also dark and light, and let's say there's God, let's say there's the devil, and let's say what if they worked together, and let's say the devil tempted you just to see, do you have the will, like to maybe we're, I would say temptation for me on certain things, like until I know what's right and wrong, because I can't just rely on, hey, oh my God, help me. Why am I thinking this? Or why am I doing this? Like, I need to figure out, or why am I saying this? Or why do I want that? Why would I want to do that? Like, I really have it good right here. Like, why would what? That's a different me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's like being in this, like, yeah, we all have thoughts. And, you know, it's up to us to figure out what's right and what's wrong. Like my one buddy, he doesn't believe in God. He's like, I don't believe in God. He's like, because I don't have to. I'm just a good person. He's like, I just choose to be a good person. He's like, I don't have to go to church for someone to say, because most people are like, well, I don't want to do that because I'm going to go to hell. But
Yeah.
if there wasn't a hell, they'd fucking do it.
And he said just intrinsically he knows he's going to make the right choice because that's just who he is.
He's just a good person because he wants to be. Or, you know, I'm not talking about like murders or something. Like for me, like I've done just bad after bad after, not like horrible, like, but like for my health and like, you know, like I'm not out like killing people. Like I'm not a bad person like that. We've all done bad shit, you know, and the wrong things, and I've just done it to the point to where it's just out of my system. But maybe it's not. Like there's still certain things that like I think of, and I'm like, why is that even coming up? Like I meditate all the time. Like, do I got to meditate some more? I don't know.
So I want to go, like, I want to talk about suicide a bit because you touched briefly on that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you identify as a suicidal person?
No, like not right now. Back when I was younger, yeah, I was really suicidal, but also for attention.
You think it was more attention
No,
getting?
I think it was 50-50. There was times where I was really trying to do it, and then there's times where I just wanted attention. I just wanted someone to care, you know?
Yeah.
So it's both. So right now, like if anybody caught me doing, like if the news said I committed suicide tomorrow, it's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Who is it that just died in their jail cell? The guy that did the virus protection.
Yeah, I remember that. And he said,
McAfee, if somebody kills me, if you find me dead, I am not suicidal. And he actually tattooed it on his arm, like I did not kill myself. And now he's suddenly dead by suicide.
Yeah, something happened. And, you know, sometimes our voicing our opinions worth dying for. I'd rather die for something than live a long life and just know that I was just bullshitting everybody.
Do you have suicidal thoughts now? Ever?
Mm-mm. I mean, maybe like depressed feelings.
Yeah.
There's too much to live for, you know, like, and there's too much change that we can help with people, you know. There's been times where I've got like I've even spoke about it. I'm like, dude, it's so weird because I'm just kind of quoting myself like, wow, like it feels weird because I have this feeling of when I was suicidal, but I'm not suicidal. It's just like this sad feeling of this emptiness and lost. And I'm like, why am I feeling that? Like I'm not depressed. I'm not sad. So why is this? Why is my body feeling that? You know, like
Yeah.
that lazy feel, like that sadness and that fog and that confusion. Like I got to go on a run or meditate, like because I'm not in that suicidal. I'm just not. I just couldn't be suicidal even if I tried.
See, like I cannot call myself a drug addict. I just can't, even if somebody else might. But I wrote about in my book that I'm a suicidal person, and it's interesting for me because I don't think I will ever kill myself. In fact, I'm positive that I won't. But there is this tick that's inside of my brain that, like, I'll be driving down the road and there'll be a voice that says, "Run your car into a tree,"
I get those.
like, and it's just there. And so, and I don't know why it's there. Like I'm not sad and there's nothing going on. There's no trauma. It's just this thing.
Is that suicidal though? Maybe, huh?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, so I
get
don't
that when I
know
cross.
what that is.
I went for a run the other day and I was running by a bridge and I looked over it and I'm like, and I just had this vision of me just jumping off and I was like, that's kind of sick. And I just kept running. Like I'm like, like that's some fucked up shit. Like, what about all the people that think that and they're like, and they really do it?
Yeah. So that makes me wonder: is it that I'm a suicidal person, or is the devil there? Is something trying to take me out? Take me off of my journey.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do, because there's been things that I've done and I'm like, maybe that's from God. And then like I'll do them and then like the next day, like my body hurts. I'm not doing music. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, let's say sex back in the day. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's certain moments, like I was a super sex fiend and it's like, let's say like, and it's like, dude, this is God's gift. Like it's just being thrown, you know what I mean? Thrown around. But then it's like, you almost feel like emptied. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, maybe there was no passion. Maybe there was no love. Maybe it was just like this emptiness, and it's like the next day you wake up, and maybe this is just me, I don't know. But I mean, obviously, like there's a bunch of times when it's cool, but it's like I'll use that because there's an emptiness feeling that follows, and it's kind of weird. I don't know. I don't even know what brought that up, but that creates, I wouldn't say it's sinful, but maybe with the wrong entities and people, and it's like for the wrong reasons, and maybe you have a significant other and you're cheating, and and then you're not gonna get a good feeling from it. At that moment, it feels fucking out. It's amazing. Then the next day comes and it's like almost like you got hit by a car. It's like, what the fuck? That's weird. Like, why? Like, or you get high and like the next day you feel off, and it's like I don't know.
You know how we were talking about BitBoy Crypto earlier, and that he
Yeah.
used to do meth, and he had his big moment where he ended up in the hospital. He described, he said, I know this sounds weird, he says, but I swear to God that I woke up and I was literally in hell. And he said while he was in hell, he said he saw this white dog, and that the white dog was running around in circles trying to chase its tail, and he was doing it so aggressively and so vigorously that the dog's neck actually snapped and the dog died. And he said that it made him realize that he was trying to fill up the hole inside, this emptiness inside, with all of these external things, and that if he continued on that path, that he would indeed end up in hell and also be dead. And so it's interesting how, like, I heard that story this morning, and here I am talking to you, and that same parallel of, like, talking about your food, talking about your drugs, talking about, sex, about that emptiness that happens when you're trying to fill a void with the wrong things.
Yeah. It could be money. Like you're going out, you're just buying shit. You know what I mean? Like, and you're just still unhappy. You're like, what the fuck? Like, I have 300 grand. I have, it could be, I could go out and spend that like right now, or I could live broke and, just have it for, who knows what happiness is. There really is. Happiness is the inner job. It has to be it's an inside job. Like there is no happiness out here. It's got to be, I mean, it's got to be the universe isn't happening to us. Well, the universe isn't happening, or it's responding to us.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that for sure.
Because like it's responding, to you and to me. That's why like it's really weird. Like like, I don't know. Like I'm like, how does this happen? And I study the law of attraction. Like what's going on in the world right now? Like, are we just prolonging it by talking about it and not talking about love, and still like, we still say the C word and COVID, and it's like, are we promoting it? Are we pushing a sickness? I don't know. But I just kind of went off, but off subject. But yeah.
Not really, because it's perpetuating the problem. What is the number one business in America? It's healthcare. It pays to keep people sick, and my dad thinks that it's a global conspiracy to ruin the world, period. And he thinks that there's definitely an evil that's happening, and that not that COVID is a conspiracy or a hoax. It's definitely a real threat, but not in the way that people think. No. Not saying that it's not medically a problem. That's obviously it's a fact. It's a medical problem for a lot of people, but that it's even more sinister, that there are evil forces that are trying to undo humanity in general. And I think the media is definitely adding fuel to that fire.
Big time. They're controlled. Yeah, media. I've listened to this guy and it's like trips me out because he's like, Medea is like this evil, and that's how you spell media. And Medea was an evil spirit that was into trickery and manipulating the mind. Well, media is spelled the same way, but it's just pronounced different. And Medea was just an evil god or an evil spirit. So media is what this, and I like him. His name's Infinite Waters, and he says that this media is ran by that same spirit. That's why like I believe in like Jesus is a spirit, like Buddha is a spirit, like there's thought, there's like fucking there's Greek God. There's all, Jesus is one of the most powerful ones and that I've came across that really speaks to me, but they all do. Jesus is just full of love. And I don't know if it's the way the name's pronounced or if it's just the thought behind it, but yeah, I don't know. Happiness is an inside job. And I think that there is an evil going on. And
I agree with you.
it gets me sometimes. And I thought I was good recently, and I've been having to meditate a lot more this past like 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes an hour, and I'm like, dude, if my life depends on it, why not meditate 20 minutes a day or 20 minutes in the morning, do my life, and then 20 minutes in the evening? If that's just going to make me feel better, you know. I, and the thing is, like, you're giving to the universe. So if I'm like, oh, I don't have time to sit down for 20 minutes, like, I'm being selfish. I'm
Yeah.
selfish. I'm selfish because I'm not trying to. I mean, Mother Earth. I mean, sometimes we're so focused on worshiping what's up here, like we forgot to, not to say worship, but maybe like show some love to like the things that we're standing on, like below our feet. We're told that's hell. What if everything's backwards? I mean, I'm a decent dude. Like, I get called the devil because my hair. But what if, like, this, what if we were shown this picture of the devil? This is a bad person. And then, so when that entity shows up, everybody's like, oh, that's bad. But then they put people in cloaks and throw them in a church and they fucking touch kids and, you know what I mean? They do all kinds of
Yeah,
shit. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, and then you got dudes with face tats that are burly and they look scary as fuck, but they're the nicest motherfucker. They're the nicest people on the planet,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Don't
Sometimes,
judge a book by its cover.
no, it's reverse psychology.
Yeah. So, my friends, you already know I can talk to you probably for hours more, but it's
Yes.
getting late. We're at 10. We've been talking for
Right.
almost 2 hours. I'm gonna click on some comments. We had a couple. Muhammad wanted to say that he loves what we were talking about. Ben McCauley looked up Aya. I don't know if and he said means surprise.
I like
And then
that.
he also said, how did you get your name? Which we talked about in the beginning of the podcast,
Yeah.
but some of our people comment on a little bit later.
Yeah.
So how would you answer that real quick?
So Yak was given to me as a kid, and then Nasty kind of came out later. Like, people call me Yak, and then they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's Yak McNasty." Da da da. And then it was like Yak Nasty because I used to fool around a lot. So it was just like I was just kind of, I was just, I was a little nasty. You know what I mean? And I got around. Is throughout my time, and uh, so that kind of came in, and then I
Were
just kind of
you?
threw that. I kind of threw that Nilla on there because I'm like, I'm a Nilla, so it's like, fuck it. It just,
It softens up your dirty little slut
yeah,
personality. You're
yeah.
like, I'm a dirty little slut.
I am
Um,
a dirty little slut.
oh my goodness,
Not
I love
anymore.
that.
Just with
Oh
my girl
no,
though.
you're devoted.
We get dirty.
I love that. So I
Yeah.
definitely would love to talk to you again in a future podcast, and
Yeah.
then I'll be messaging you links so you can get my book because you said you
Yes,
wanted to.
I do.
And is there anything I can do to help you on your journey as an artist and a person, etc.?
Oh, if you could just say yak, that would help
Just
me.
like that. I gotta say like yak. I just like no, just kidding. See, I'm gonna have to practice that. I'm gonna have to practice.
That's good.
I get a little embarrassed trying to say it because I'm like,
just no, just stay in contact. I think that you're a beautiful spirit, and I think that there's more. I think there's a reason why we're connecting more than this. So even if it's just for a conversation and just a hello, I think that having these uplifting conversations help us get to our dreams a little bit faster and manifesting, and I think that, yeah, it's good conversation. Just that
I
right
think
there.
that's awesome. All right, perfect. So I'm
I
gonna peace
appreciate
out. I'm
you.
gonna go ahead and end this broadcast by clicking this little button. Whoop,
YouTube
whoop.
Yak Nasty.